Okay, everybody, and welcome back. My name is John Michael Salvato, and today we're going to look at the mechanics of trauma bonds and how you could begin rewiring your nervous system. It's easy to feel like you're losing your mind when you're stuck in a toxic cycle. We'll break down why your mind stays stuck and how you could begin to rewire those circuits for true healing. So let's dive in. The brain can be tricked into finding safety in abuse. You likely have experienced a split between your conscious mind and your subconscious nervous system that goes something like this. You logically know that the situation is toxic. You know that you need to leave. But there's a part of you that fears abandonment. It believes that if you just stay, if you just work harder, you might finally feel whole. We often stay because we're waiting for the pain to stop. We are abandoning ourselves to avoid being abandoned by someone else. Trauma bonds force us to live outside of safe emotional regulation. And contrary to what popular belief might tell you, a trauma bond is not a deep connection. It's an addiction loop fueled by intermittent positive reinforcement. There are highs where you receive dopamine hits through love bombing and apologies or sudden affection, followed by the lows, which include neglect and belittling and the silent treatment. In time, as a result of this intermittent positive reinforcement, this addiction loop that we were talking about, your brain begins to equate these extreme catastrophic lows and intense highs with intimacy. You might feel like you've been through a war together, but the other person is actually the one who built the roller coaster that's giving you whiplash. Healing requires us to stop internalizing their bad behavior as evidence of our own unworthiness. When we're in the midst of that incoming stream of blame and screaming, it's common to believe that we're the problem. The reality is that their behavior has nothing to do with you. They're projecting their own insecurities, and you can't fix their anger through your own self-reflection. Healing requires us to detach from the story that we're the problem. We can't keep telling ourselves that everything that happens is our fault. Abusive dynamics require specific traits in order to function. Think of it as a lock and key. The lock is the abusive dynamic that requires submission, it lacks accountability, and uses guilt to manipulate us. The key is our trauma response. That results in high empathy, a fear of setting boundaries, and a tendency to overfunction by doing the work of more than one person. And what that means for us today is that quite often we're not just trying to repair a current relationship, we're unconsciously recreating broken childhood attachments. See, when we were children, a broken attachment felt like a death. Today, your nervous system reacts to a breakup with that same primal terror. I like to think of the solution as being setting up a firewall. A boundary with an unsafe person is the removal of yourself. You can't set verbal boundaries with someone who's unsafe. The priority is your physical and emotional protection. So you've got to retire your role as their savior or rescuer. People who want to heal take full responsibility for their actions. They don't try to make healing of someone else their job. It doesn't matter what the diagnosis is. What matters is that it keeps happening even after you ask them to stop. And look, I get it. When you initiate a no contact boundary, you're going to enter into a withdrawal phase. You're going to feel loneliness and grief and a literal craving for that dopamine hit that relationships give us. Missing them doesn't mean you made the wrong choice. Sitting in the discomfort of withdrawal is how we build the new skill of emotional regulation. You've got to make the firm decision not to go back, even when you feel that you might be wrong or you're questioning yourself about it. This is an illustration of what that looks like when you retire your role as their savior and they don't want to be rescued. You can give and give and give, but they'll take whatever it is you're willing to give, they'll use it up and spit it out, and no progress will be made. And that's not a recipe for a healthy relationship. We've got to allow ourselves the space to recognize that we could possibly wrong and still make a firm decision not to go back, because in this moment, this is what we do for our safety. And as a result, like I said, we begin to cultivate emotional regulation. We begin to cultivate greater personal self-talk and an authentic sense of safety. By allowing ourselves to possibly be wrong, we make the decision that we can't go back to the drama and the addiction that existed before this. Now, when it comes to actually doing the rewiring of the circuitry in our brains, that happens in 5 steps. The first step is that we have to feel the sadness and anger without judgment. That's acknowledgement. The second step is to enforce, to set that firewall by limiting contact and protecting our space. Third, we redirect. We put the energy that we spent trying to save or rescue them back into our own healing and well-being. Fourth, we take the challenge. We break the fantasy by reminding ourselves of the negative impact of that roller coaster. And fifth, we don't do this alone. We rely on trusted friends or therapists or coaches. That's the support mechanism. And we know that when we do this, detaching is not abandoning them. It's rescuing yourself. Remember, you were never broken. You are lovable. So treat yourself with the same ferocity and protection that you would offer your best friend. In order to break this cycle, we do that not through hate, but through love, by treating ourselves with the same grace that we would give to the other person. And look how far you've come from those old cycles. Keep moving forward, and the version of who you really are will begin to emerge.